My grandparents, Lily and Roy Scott, came from Mexico, Missouri, and they came when the academy was started. And my grandfather came to work at the academy. My grandmother worked as a domestic for the faculty wives at the military academy, and she worked very hard. My mother, growing up, went with her a lot after school. They walked from Main Street to the academy, down the railroad tracks to the academy, and it was hard, but they liked it. My mother had a lot of friends. She grew up with a lot of friends, and grandmother and papa were strict with her, but they were loving parents. And grandmother would have tea parties at her house, and they had the little bridge club called the Entre Club with the ladies from, the community. Mrs. Weaver, Mrs. Hampton, Mrs. Dickerson, she'd have the little watercress sandwiches and the different teas with her fine linens.
So this usually at her home?
Right, at her home.
Okay.
Entertained, and our house wasn't too far, so we were always back and forth. And Sunday dinners was always at my grandmother's house, and that's where we learned a lot about our family history around the dining table. After dinner, we'd just sit around and talk, and my grandfather, that I call Papa, would talk about growing up in Mexico, how his mother was an ex-slave, and his stepfather was Mr. Johnson. That's what they called him. And when his mother would call Mr. Johnson for work, her owner would come out and say, "There's only one Mr. on this plantation. You don't call him Mr. Johnson." So, all of this was really hard to digest as a child, but growing up, then you understand the importance and the history behind all of this. And you learned who your relatives were, who your ancestors were.